Hi, BTV Digger here with my 2015 metal detecting recap. I'm going to highlight my top 10 finds of the year of 2015. I'm relatively new to the hobby, only starting about 3 years ago, but I detect up here in northern Vermont and have been lucky to find quite a few interesting things over the past year and a half. These are going to be my top 10 finds from 2015, just this year alone. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it here. Turn the camera around. Number 10. Get down in the light here. This is the oldest coin I found this year. This is an 1814 halfpenny token found in Peru, New York. This is a Wellington token. Back in the early 1800s, they made some Bank of Canada tokens, which is just a few miles up the road from where we are here. And it's hard to read here, but this has Lady Britannia on the reverse and Wellington on the back. And you can just make out 1814 at the very bottom there. And that is my oldest coin. So that ranks as number 10. Number 9. Number 9 is an Indian head penny. A little bit on the corroded side, but as you can see, it's an 1872. Been lucky to find a number of Indian head pennies this year. This is a relatively uncommon date. I did go into the coin store and have this appraised, and the guy told me, obviously, being a little bit corroded, that it has a little bit lesser value than what the red book would say. But nonetheless, it's worth $20 to $30, probably a filler type coin for somebody's album. But being a rare date, I did put this in my top 10, relatively uncommon mintage. And actually, I think the second most rare mintage, or third to the 1877 and perhaps one other 1870s Indian head. So I thought that was quite a nice coin. It does, again, have some corrosion, as you can see on the back here, a little bit on the corroded side. But anyway, in my book, that's a keeper. And ironically, it was only about an inch below the surface, so kind of amazing that that lasted that long. All right. Number 8. Number 8 is a Flying Eagle cent. I found this coin only about a quarter mile down the road than I found the 1872 I just showed you. Again, heavily corroded, as these copper coins typically do come out of the ground in pretty rough shape most of the time. Obviously, 1857, you can read the date there. And not in too bad a shape for being in the ground 160-odd, 170-odd years. And it actually cleaned up pretty good, even though it was fairly worn. So I was very happy with that. You can still make out the wording a little bit, so I definitely consider that a keeper. Found it at an old school site. Okay, number 7. Probably my second best large cent of the year. This is an 1834 large 8 small stars variety found in Peru, New York. Along with a good hunting buddy of mine that's been very gracious in letting me hunt with him on some of his private permission properties over there. And you can read out the date. Again, Liberty is a little bit visible there, and if I turn it over, you can see it's fairly heavily corroded, but certainly an early matron head large cent, and that was about 5 inches deep and fairly easily detectable on even a beginner level machine like my F2 that I currently use right now. So that is number 7. Now, one of the things I do like to find here in Vermont is things with writing on them outside of coins that kind of show local history. And most of the next 6 items are not coins. They're either tokens or things with writing on them. This is number 6, and I found this quite interesting. Central Vermont Conductor. What this is a hat badge from a Vermont Railroad conductor for the Central Vermont Rail Line. This site was occupied all the way into the early 20th century, and seeing of the actual quality of the metal and the print type on the badge, I would probably date this early 20th century. I'm thinking 1910, 1920, something like that, teens or 20s. The site was abandoned before the Depression era, so I was kind of just making an educated guess. But from what I can tell and some of the other input I've got from fellow detectorists online, I would put this early 20th century, but a great relic in my opinion because it puts a local flair on where I'm detecting and puts a local place name to where I was, and love that very much. Central Vermont Conductor hat badge. Okay, number 5. Similar, I had debated whether to put this 6 or 5, but I went ahead and put this 5 because I really like this. This is one of the only items I found at this site. I actually went down to the old site of where this fair was taking place and popped this right out of the ground about 5 minutes into the hunt, and then didn't find a doggone thing the rest of the hunt. But I thought this was an excellent keeper. The print type indicates probably late 1800s on this. It's just blank on the back, and it's just a simple animal tag. But the old Addison County Fair and the fairgrounds in Middlebury went back a long way, back into the mid 1800s, I believe. Nowadays, they call it the Addison County Field Days, and they hold it in a different location, and you probably find just modern junk there and some modern clad. But at the old site, there is still some opportunity to possibly pick some old stuff out of the ground. This was very deep. Even my F2 hit it because it was relatively flat at about 7 inches. So I was very happy with that. Try to get that focus there for you. Addison County Fair tag, late 1800s, thereabouts. All right, down to the top 5. This is probably my best condition large cent of the year. 1857 Bank of Canada token. Again, Canada had rebellions back in the mid 1800s, and they ran on a shortage of coins, so the Bank of Upper Canada was licensed to print out these tokens. This was in the old road, literally like a half an inch under the soil. The detector absolutely went off crazily when I thought I was just going to dig a clad quarter or something like that, and I saw this big old green disc pop out, and I was like, wow, what on earth? And the back is also in fairly good shape, but the front, I think, is even in better shape, and I really didn't do anything to this coin to clean it. I literally just took a light rinse of warm soap and water with a very lightly abrasive toothbrush scrub for about 2 or 3 minutes, and that's all I needed. I'm not going to really touch it after that. It's in fantastic condition for being in the ground that long. 1857 halfpenny Bank of Canada token. All right. I apologize the sound, train going by here. Number 3, and this is my top 3 finds of the year. Let me get into the light here. 15 cents Yale Wonder Clock trade token. I thought this was just absolutely awesome. It's 20th century, I know, but man, to put on a local flair and local history here, this Yale Wonder Clock, if you do a Google search on it, you can find a couple videos about them. They were Victorian gambling machines that were made actually in Burlington, Vermont. I believe the very last years of the 1800s to about 1907. And if I flipped it on the back here, it actually has a clock number on it, so I could trace the clock number back to the approximate manufacture date and when they made these, and it's about 1904. A little bit of a corrosion and damage at the very top there, but otherwise a fantastic find. Something that you're not going to find anywhere else in the country, obviously, because it's got a local history to it, and just very interesting. So Yale Wonder Clock trade token from the early 20th century. Okay, number 2, and again, the last 2 are not coins, but not to disappoint you because I love these local items. I thought this was junk when it first popped out of the ground. It looked like a washer. I started to rub it off, and I was like, wow, it's got writing on it. That usually is a good sign. This is a Rutland and Burlington Railroad tag, luggage tag, beautiful shape. Obviously, this would have been brass and yellow and shiny, kind of like that Vermont hat badge I showed you earlier, conductor's hat badge, but much older. You can go on the back here and trace the manufacture date. And if my camera will focus, it says J. Robbins, Boston. And the type of print and the organization of the print, I was able to research this and research the date of the occupation of the home site. And this tag dates between 1857 and 1869, so Civil War era and just after into construction era. A Rutland and Burlington Railroad luggage tag in excellent shape. I try to get some feedback online on this, on what any kind of relative value or scarcity is, and I really didn't hear a peep from any of the railroad experts, I guess. So we'll just have to leave it at that, but it's definitely a keeper and one of my top finds, certainly of 2015. Okay, finally for the drum roll, number 1. And this is actually my little image on American Detectorist Forum that I use. This right here is a Grand Army of the Republic Civil War Veterans badge. This is early 20th century, so you could make the case that it would be a Sons of Veterans badge, but in the middle you can see the Vermont insignia, the Vermont seal of coat of arms there, with the cow and the pine tree and a Maltese cross. I did contact a collector down in Maryland, and they were happy enough to kind of provide some feedback on the approximate date. There is no manufacturer on this. A lot of these did have manufacturers, but some of them did not. This was a blank one, So it was even for a top-end collector of Vermont war memorabilia like this gentleman was, he was not able to precisely put a date on it. But that was absolutely my most fantastic find. I didn't know what I really had when I first popped it out of the ground. I thought it was maybe just a Boy Scout tag or something like that. But the more I got feedback online from some detectorist friends online and did some more research, I started to realize what I had found here. So this is a fantastic find, in my opinion, a local state find from the state of Vermont, a Maltese Cross Grand Army of the Republic Civil War Veterans Badge. So there you have it, my top 10 finds for 2015. I've got a relic nerd shack like I know probably a lot of you do, that I throw my finds down for the year and then I try to figure out where to put them all so I can put stuff down for next year. But anyway, I hope you like my video. That's all I have for you tonight, and I'll hopefully be making some new videos coming up in 2016 when I'll try to start filming in the field and doing a little more on-site type of camera work, and hopefully provide some good stuff for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a very happy holidays, and we'll check back with you next spring. Take care. Bye-bye.